Hello, everybody. This is Grayson Harris. Welcome back to our Nonprofit Spotlight series. Today, we are thrilled to be joined by Jesse Martin. He is the International Executive Director of Christ Hope, and they are doing incredible work out in Africa, really with orphaned youth. And their philosophy is really the whole child care. And they have really five core pillars that Jesse, I know, is going to be diving into here shortly. Jesse, thank you for joining and coming on and speaking with our audience about directly the work that you're doing and also some important lessons I think that you want to share with our audience as well.
Yes, thank you for having me, Grayson. It's quite a privilege and an honor to be here. I do have the privilege of serving Christ Hope International to global ministries, serves vulnerable and orphan children across 7 countries throughout Africa. And I'm just excited to share what the Lord's doing. We're a Christian organization, and so I'll use some Christian language here, but uh, excited to share what we believe that God's doing throughout these countries, transforming children and their families and their communities.
I would love you have this philosophy of 5 points of care. Can you kind of dive into what that means and really what is the goal and mission? Some of the differentiators that you're doing within Christ Hope International.
Yeah, great question. So easy acronym to remember what the 5 points of care is SPIRE, SPIRE. So we focus on the whole child and seeking to bring about transformation. And as a Christian organization, we believe in the transformational power of the gospel. And and we everything we do is based in scripture. And the approach that we have focuses on the spiritual aspects. So SPIRE, spiritual, physical, intellectual, relational, and emotional. And so we focus on that. There's plenty of beautiful, amazing other ministries out there that are doing very, very good work that maybe focus on one or two of those aspects. I'll touch on that in a little bit. I think there's good strategical value in partnering with them, but we seek to serve the whole child and see them thrive and transform throughout our time with them.
If you could walk me through an example of what one of these youth within Africa looks like as they kind of come to you, the need that you're seeing, the services that you're kind of directly providing, and then maybe a positive outcome that would come about it as well.
Yeah, certainly. So our focus is breaking cycles and building hope. So breaking the cycles of extreme poverty. We work with children who are living and experiencing extreme poverty. For most people in the Western world, that's kind of a foreign concept or paradigm. The typically a threshold for a family to enter our program or a child to enter our program is less than $2 a day is their family's income. So that's very extreme, even in developing nations where the cost of living may be much lower than our Western nations. And what that means is they would never have access to education because typically in these contexts, you have to purchase a school uniform and oftentimes pay a school fee. And even if the education is free in some countries, there's still that high barrier of entry. Another aspect is medical. They would never be able to receive medical care or hygiene or aid on a regular basis. Oftentimes, what we've found out is the ability for regular nutrition doesn't exist. And then, of course, loving, caring relationships that are rooted in what we believe are biblical values and what the Bible teaches. All of that married together through sponsorships from donors in the US and other countries allow the children to go to school on a regular basis, learn, gain an education, which is oftentimes the differentiator between thrive or failure to thrive in these contexts. The children go to school, then they come to our after school program where we have loving relationships and adults who really care for them. They mentor them. We have a program where we teach biblical lessons as well, biblical manhood, womanhood, and what does that mean in their context, um, and life skills and many other things. I just think of a story, gentleman named Vic, and he when he was a young boy, 8, 9 years old, his parents passed away and he was an orphan. And then I believe he was taken in by his grandmother or grandfather, actually. And I don't think the relationship with his grandfather was very good. In the area where he lived, very typically, and I looked up the stats recently, I believe in the area where he's from, 1 in 7 children don't survive past the age of 5, so
Mm,
it's very extreme conditions, and through our program, Vic was able to graduate high school with honors, and then he went on and got an accelerated degree or advanced degree in art, and now he's come back as a caregiver working in our program as a staff member, breaking
nice.
these cycles for other children. He's very vibrant, very full of life, very full of excitement. I'm actually traveling to the area where he serves, Lord willing, at the end of the month, so I'll be able to spend some time with him. And I believe, from what I've been told, he's also an excellent artist and has taught that to the children as well. So that's just an example of breaking the cycle of poverty and spiritual brokenness in these children's lives. It's very difficult to describe the living conditions that the children are in. I think one litmus test is, are there other NGOs or other nonprofits serving in these areas where we are? And very much sometimes there are, but we find that oftentimes there's not very many. And so the aid and the support we're able to bring is truly life changing
Mm.
for many of these children.
I would love to. You bring up a great point about the fact that there are other kind of NGOs that do provide support within Africa. What in the areas where they are, what does that kind of relationship look like in terms of working and collaborating with those organizations to kind of make sure the needs of the community are being met?
Yeah, so I'll use an example. We have Christ Hope Kenya, and we're in Mathare, which is a slum area right outside of or in Nairobi, which is the capital. And there's many NGOs and other organizations in that area. One of them that we've partnered with is a local. It is a vocational development center where they have different opportunities for teens to access, and I believe even parents to access. So, computer labs, training centers, and facilities. We partner with them and send the children there. What we don't want to do is reinvent the wheel if we don't have to. And I believe trusting and caring relationships are the lifeblood of nonprofits and NGOs. And if we're really going to truly tackle the issues that we seek to see change. And if we're going to envision what the future should look like and work our way towards that, I think we should do that together.
It's very important, and something that also comes to mind in terms of that aspect and that togetherness, in terms of creating a sustainable and I know that you phrased it this way before, but a kind of a generational impact. How do you connect and collaborate with the local change makers in the community that you are serving? One, in terms of actually providing the services themselves, like are the caregivers oftentimes community members, and what do those conversations look like, and what is the buy-in from the local community?
Yeah, great question. And I think it's important to note that Christ Hope is an African ministry begun by Africans for Africans. I have the privilege of sitting in the seat that I'm in, and my role is to remove obstacles and provide support for the locals. All of our staff in Africa, besides one person, I think close to 150 to 170 staff throughout these 7 countries. All of them are local to the areas where we serve.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So they live near and in the areas where we serve. They're very familiar. They are the experts in their context, and we view them as the experts in their context. And they're the leaders. So I think some mistakes that have been made is not empowering and finding locals that are experts. And so we're very lucky and blessed to have that as part of our DNA. And we trust them to build local relationships with entities, churches,
Mm.
businesses, governments. In a lot of these areas, you have tribal leaders and tribal chieftains that only they would know about. If I came there, I would probably make a giant mess. But because they're the experts. They know how to navigate these relationships. Just as if you came to the area where I live, you wouldn't know the roads to take to get to where you want to go. So we need a guide, and they are our guides. So in Eswatini, where we serve and where we're expanding service, because of a local relationship with a chieftain there who saw our ministry, saw the impact that was having on the children and their families in the community, invited us to come to his area. And in Eswatini, it's a kingdom. They have a king. And I don't presume to know all about the political realm or anything like that. But what I understand is that the king owns the land, and the chieftain went on our behalf to the king to ask for land for us to expand. And having strong relationships with local power brokers or local leaders like that are key to really bringing about true and lasting change. I don't think that would ever happen if we didn't view our local leaders as the experts.
I would love to understand how you are equipping and enabling these local change makers to kind of help grow the mission and the work that you're doing, and what that looks like in terms of is it really kind of these organic connections that are coming about, or is there kind of a strategic vision that you're helping equip them with on top?
Yeah, so with we have to have an overall strategic vision. We are one ministry in many locations, right? So we operate in 7 African countries. We're in the Congo, the DRC, Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, Eswatini, South Africa, and Namibia.
Mm,
And coordinating and ensuring our quality of program and what's going on in the countries takes a broad strategic plan to ensure that there's alignment. Within that, we make sure that there's plenty of room for everybody to have a seat at the table, to hear from the local experts, or we call them, their titles are country team leaders, for them to share with us, where do you feel like you're called to expand to? What are your needs? What do you need to have in order to maintain your current operations? What do you need to have to grow to your current physical capacity?
mm.
And then what will it take for you to grow to a new location? And they're all very engaged. They're the ones, they're the real heroes here. I'm not the hero. They're the heroes. And the people who fuel the vision and the mission are heroes as well. So bringing them together to see children's and their families' lives and communities transformed is key. So allowing them, not even, I mean, even the term allowing is not really accurate, but inviting them
Equipping.
to speak, equipping, yeah, them to speak into the direction is key. We're even having a gathering here in next March, Lord willing. We'll gather in Africa with all the team leaders, and we'll begin talking about what's your vision for the next 5, 10 years. Are we who we need to be in order to carry out the vision that we have and so forth. So it's important that they feel their voice is heard and that action is taken on what they're sharing. I want to share just a example of what's going on
Yeah.
even in Uganda, where we have the privilege of serving. There's going to be celebrating their 10th year of service to the community and to the children and the families coming up. They are putting together what I'm just sitting back and I feel like a kid in a candy shop. They're putting together a community service to do some type of a medical and community outreach to a community near them that they have identified that have the need. Now you got to
Mm,
keep in mind, our ministry operates and serves people who are make less than $2 a day. Our leaders are local and they understand the need. They know what is necessary and where to go. And they've come up with the idea. They're implementing it. They're raising funds for it locally and internationally. They are encouraging and including the children in this outreach. And it is just such a beautiful image of what I would say is gospel transformation in a community. It's community development. And so they identified the need, they identified the cost, and they're mentoring and teaching the children and how to serve and how to give back. It's coming full circle, and like I said, I just feel like a kid in the candy shop.
that's amazing, and that's what it really looks like when you're creating that sustainable impact for sure. I would love, as you shared that incredible story, tell us in the audience what the mission and the direction of the organization looks like as we go into the end of the year and into the future.
Yeah, certainly. So, the mission is to transform lives of orphan and vulnerable children, and we do that through what's called family-based care. Oftentimes, orphanages and so forth do good work. We believe every child is made for a family, and we want to see the children either in their immediate or extended family if
Mm,
they are around. And so the support that we provide basically subsidizes the cost for families to keep a child in their family. So aunties, uncles, grandparents typically are the guardians of the children. So that's kind of who we are. The future is very bright. It's very exciting. I've actually put together a systematic approach to pull out vision from our team leaders and have them imagine, you know, what does 100% success look like in the communities that we serve? Like mentally visualize, what do the streets look like? What do the people look like? What are their attitudes and their hearts and their minds? And we're beginning to do that more, is pull that out of our people. And I think a huge next step for us is becoming a hub for local partnerships, local and global partnerships even. So we have what I think is a major asset is trusted relationships on the ground in 7 countries in very rural and also very urban aspects. We have trusted avenues of getting and reporting for funding. And so we want to become the glove that other NGOs' hands can fit into.
mm,
I believe in, like I said earlier, that relationships with other NGOs, other businesses, other nonprofits, other ministries that are like minded, that want to see transformation come about in these communities, and whether their mission is to deliver aid through clothing a child or a family in need, or deliver aid through feeding or medical aid or tutoring or discipleship. We do all of that. But I don't think that we should limit ourselves to only us doing that.
mm.
So kind of opening the door and being the glove that the hand of other NGOs kind of fit into, where they can deliver their mission through our mission and have these complementarian partnerships, is key to scalability and to growth. There's 52 million orphans throughout Africa. If and like I said, I'm a Christian. If every Christian were to sponsor a child in the United States, there would be no more orphans living alone without hope. And I also think in the other aspect, there are tons of other NGOs that have that their bottom line mission, including their budgets, is to do what we're doing. And we can be that vehicle for delivering their mission into these communities. And so I welcome partnerships. I welcome any type of aid that we can
Right.
partner with other NGOs on.
And how would our organizations reach out in terms of that partnership?
Yeah, so we have a website. It's christshope.org. It's CHRISTSHOPE.org. There's contact information on there. Just reach out and I can provide my own personal email information as well. And so I think any type of if any of this excites anybody who's listening to this, the need is overwhelming, but the answer is working in hand together to see children, families, and communities thrive, and break these generational cycles of extreme poverty and many other things.
It's incredible, Jesse. Thank you for coming on, sharing more about the incredible work that you're doing for the orphaned youth and vulnerable youth within the countries that you're operating in, and looking at the potential vision of being that glove for the broad nonprofit community that's looking to do the same work and mission that y'all have, and coming on and sharing the work.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate this opportunity. It's honestly a privilege to be here. And like I said, I just feel like a kid in the candy shop being able to do all that I have the privilege to do. So thank you, Grayson.